I talked about the Great Dome, the custodians, the Anunnaki, and the resets that have been happening in our realm. In this video, however, I'm going to be giving a little bit more backstory, a little bit more history, so let's jump right into it. The first thing that I'm going to talk about in this video is the Celestial Lands. The Celestial Lands are basically lands that nobody could enter, or nobody could enter and get out alive. It was impossible to access even using the most advanced custodial technology, like the custodians and Anunnaki. They couldn't get up in there, and they was pissed. It became their obsession. They were desperate to figure out a way into the Celestial Lands. So think of the Celestial Lands like heaven. That's how I'm considering the Celestial Lands. The Celestial Lands are the most mysterious out of all the known worlds.
What's past there? What's past the outer edge, boundary of memory?
A mystery.
Almost all of the other races existing today are aware of the Celestial Lands, but none of them dare to even try to penetrate it or enter that realm. The custodians and Anunnaki came together and tried to form some type of agreement so they could jointly develop technology that would allow them to unveil the mystery of the Celestial Lands. The reason for the obsession that the custodians and Anunnaki had with the Celestial Lands was that there was a rumor that the secret to how to penetrate the Great Dome would be found in the Celestial Lands. And we already talked about the Great Dome in the first video, you know, the unknown zone. So they believed that the secret to entering the unknown zone, or what was even out there in the unknown zone, they felt like the secret to that would be in the Celestial Lands. So through time, eventually the custodians and Anunnaki's technology advanced so much so that they were able to pass through the dome of the Celestial Lands. However, their body instantly pulverized as soon as they did that. And they couldn't figure out why. They was like, what the fuck is going on? Why is we dying when we're trying to enter here? So then they tried to start using various other races to see if they could pass through the dome without pulverizing. Everybody died in the same way. It wasn't happening. So later in their extensive studies, they came to the conclusion that physical bodies could not enter the Celestial Lands. Only a conscious energy, which they called the source, or the source of life, could enter into the Celestial Lands. The theory goes that this energy perceived the danger or the threats of the custodian and Anunnaki technology, so it acted accordingly to safeguard its environment. This conscious energy split, taking the body of the 5 masters, which gave life to the human being, me and you, baby. These first humans occupied lands like Atlantis. I know you guys heard of Atlantis. It was a real place. It's even depicted in old maps. We occupied lands like Asgard. And no, I'm not talking about Thor. Okay, that's a Marvel movie, but this is actually Norse mythology, if you dig deep, besides what you see on media. But the media is telling you the truth subliminally. I don't know that word, but anyways. The first humans based all of their technology on race development and the welfare of, you know, the race, basically, which was their downfall. Because, you know, like I said before, the custodians based all their technology on weapons of destruction, and, you know, they was ready to go to war. So they outnumbered the humans, and eventually the humans surrendered to the custodians and Anunnaki, which was the beginning of the fucking end, because that's why we are in the present day situation we're in right fucking now.
First there was darkness, then came the strangers. They abducted us and brought us here. This city, everyone in it, is their experiment.
We were then used as tests, basically. Like, they sent us to the Celestial Lands as a test. And although the human bodies pulverized as soon as we entered into the Celestial Land Dome, the Anunnaki and custodians noticed that the energy that was within us, the source, our souls, it went directly through the Celestial Lands. So the custodians and Anunnaki have been studying humans since ancient times. They were fascinated that this energy that lived within us could actually travel through the celestial lands. They were trying to figure out how to use humans as a vehicle to enter into the celestial lands. However, they could not figure out how to manipulate the energy that lived within us, or the energy that left our bodies. They could not figure out how to manipulate that. And they're still trying to figure it out till this day. So some people believe that the custodians still have control over the humans because they're still trying to use us to enter the celestial lands. Other people believe the custodians and Anunnaki maintain control over us because they fear us. They sense this immense potential within us because, you know, we actually came from source, and they're afraid that we will actually defeat them one day. For this reason, they control us with those resets and, you know, the education, diseases, all that shit, because they just don't want to see what we are capable of. Now, remember in the last video, I was talking about the giants and how they went to war with us humans at one point. Well, the giants, you know, they peeped all of this stuff happening from the outside looking in, and they decided to even help us in the first place because they feared that if the custodians and Anunnaki destroyed humans, that they would destroy the source itself, and they was not having that because the source is what made everything possible. The giants believed that if the source fell, then the 178 worlds would fall as well, and that meant everybody. So after a while, the custodians started to lose interest in humans because they couldn't figure out how to manipulate our energy. So they was just like, this is like basically a waste of time. And at the same time, the Anunnaki were going through their own issues